All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are in the 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe Calligraphy. I have been pretty excited to review this particular trim. Um, a while ago, I reviewed the SEL trim of the 24 Santa Fe. And I had a few of you wondering about the limited and the calligraphy trim, which is why I'm here today with the calligraphy trim. There are some differences between the limited and the calligraphy. Those differences are minor, and we'll talk about them as we go around the car. So for today, what we're going to do is we're going to hop out. We'll talk about the engine and the transmission. We'll talk about horsepower and torque, as well as miles per gallon. And then we'll do a walk around of the outside of the car. And then we'll work our way inside, starting at the third row and moving forward to the front seat. So with that out of the way, let's hop out and take a look at this beautiful, beautiful car. So in the 24 Santa Fe Calligraphy, this is the non-hybrid. So this is the gas engine. We'll talk about hybrids at another point. This has 281 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. It's a 2.5 liter turbocharged inline 4 with an 8-speed automatic transmission. This gets about 20 miles per gallon in the city and about 23 on the highway for a combined of 23 miles per gallon. So with the calligraphy trim, we see a lot going on here. Most of what you're going to see will be on the inside, though there are some unique parts about the outside of the car. So starting at the front here, and this is something you're going to see a lot as we go around, is that there's a lot of H's. There's an H here on the daytime running lights. There is a bumper width H on the bottom here. There's an H that connects both sides. And there's an H right here, obviously. And there's even an inner H following this right through here. This is white with black plastic accents, which honestly, I really like the look of this thing. We have some sensors along the bottom here on both sides, as well as down here in the grill. We have, I don't know what the correct term is for it, but I would call it adaptive air dampeners, if you would. These will actually open and close to allow more or less airflow. These are functional. You can put your finger right through them. We have a camera here. And we actually have a camera right there in the windshield. All right, let's wrap around the side here. We have a decent body line straight through the middle there with these giant wheel arches on the front and the back. We have, let's see if I can get the tire size here. So it looks like we're running 20, 24, 45, 21s. So 21-inch rims here. And of course, 21-inch wheels. We have cameras down here and obviously our blinker indicator. That plastic continues all throughout here. We have a grab handle up here where we push in to help get to the top of the car. That mechanism, by the way, is lockable, so you can lock it from the inside so nobody can throw things in it or mess with it when you're not near your car. The back end might be the most controversial part of this vehicle. mostly because of the roundness of the rear end, as well as the lights being down lower and the blinkers being low. So we can see the H right there and right there. And you could really even argue that this white section between the lights and the reflectors could be an H as well. So the red, and then the white through the middle, you could say that's an H too. We have a camera up here and then a camera down here, as well as sensors throughout the bumper. We'll talk about these cameras when we jump inside the vehicle. Let's pop this open. All right, so we have, I should have prepped this beforehand, but let's just move this out of the way. We'll drop these down to start. So this is actually kind of works out. With everything down, you see we have quite a lot of room. You could definitely fit skis and snowboards and things like that inside. Underneath here, we have our quick jack and some storage. 12 volt, 180 watt power supply. A bunch of tie downs throughout. A place for your cargo cover. We have automatic second row seat droppers, if you will. They're already down, so it's not really going to benefit anything, but I could put them up if I can hit both of them at the same time. Sorry about that. Let's try that again. That one's not coming up. That one might be locked, which we'll talk about in a minute. Unfortunately, the third row, we do have to pull it up. So we'll do that. There is some nice Velcro where we can attach these though, so they don't, fly all over the place. With the seats, with the third row up and leaned all the way back, we don't have a lot of space. However, for some basic things, you could fit in there, and you can also pull these up a little bit to allow for a bit more vertical space. Just like that. We're going to try to flip these up so they don't get in the way of the trunk closing. We try not to put those in until a customer buys a car, just so they don't get unnecessarily dirty. All right, stay. Up here we have our button to close and a locking mechanism as well, which we won't hit. Underneath the rear end, we have a spare tire. So that's nice. Let's wrap our way into the car here. Let's actually pop that back. And we'll get to that in a minute. We have some nice wood trim along the side. And we have Hyundai's H-Tex leatherette throughout here. So it's a fake leather. And down through here as well. So on all the touch points, we have nice feeling, nice quality leather. We have heated seats on both sides here. We have 2 cup holders and a little area down there for some water or soda or whatever bottle. We also have sunshade blockers here as well. The seats are honestly really interesting. They have this cool mechanism involved where we can actually move this up, move it forward in many different ways. So the first way to do this is by hitting this button here. When we hold it for about a second or two, this whole thing will slide forward, and it allows us, once we hold it again, to move it back freely. To lift it, there's a couple, to lift the back part, there's a couple ways to do it. We can just hold like that, and it'll automatically go up. And there's also a button up here that we can hit that will slide and fold it forward. Additionally, this lever actually adjusts. Let's see if I can show it. actually adjusts the seating position. I apologize if the camera isn't picking up that movement, but I promise you it is tilting up and down. All right, now that this is forward, let's hop back here. All right, let's slide this back. Okay. And now we're sitting back here. When this seat is fully back, you don't really have a lot of room back here, which makes sense because this is similar more to the Highlander than it is to something like the Grand Highlander. This is the smaller third row and the Palisade is the larger third row. When you're sitting on the left side of the car, so the driver's side, we have 2 cup holders, a USB-C charger, and a vent. When we're sitting on the left side, we have 2 cup holders, USB-C, we have a power supply, we have vents, and we have rear AC controls. It only controls fan speed, but it's better than nothing. We also have some speakers on either side here, and lights, of course. And then up top is our moonroof, which we'll talk about when we get to the front. Adjustability wise, there's not too much adjustability, but we have a strap here that we can pull and send us back a little bit more to give us more front and back space, and then pull it and pull forward to get more forward space. So it's kind of up to the person. All right, let's hop out of here. There's not a lot going on in the third row, so we'll just move forward. We also have tethers here and a hook here. Let's hop out of here, and then let's push that forward. Cool. Now let's hop in here. All right. So real quick, continuing that theme of H's, we have H's here on the vents. We have an H here. We have H's throughout the seat. And I'm sure there's H's in other areas that I'm not seeing. All right. We have 2 hooks here, a storage area there. We have 2 USB-C ports on either seat. Down here, we have a cubby to store things. And we have access to the center console. I did want to note that this does connect to this as well. So if I actually lift this up, we can see, oh, let me take this out. You can see that it actually connects to the front and the back, which is nice because you could be in the front and want to hand something to someone in the back, but perhaps it's a safety issue if you turn around and hand it to them. So instead, you put it in the front. The person back here can pull it forward and grab it out of the box. I also want to note that these are connected, but not shared. So what I mean by that is that if you look up here, there's actually a barricade. So you can be back here and you can put something in here, and then they could put something up there. And then when you slide it forward, they can access what's back here. But up here is cordoned off in its own section. So it's not that you only have one area of storage that you both share, but rather you have 2 separate areas that you could also share if you wanted to. That's a weird way of saying that there's 2 areas to store things, basically, is what I'm getting at. This is a removable tray that comes out of here. You can also pop this out if that pleases you. All right. So there's nothing really else special back here besides the seat movement that I showed you, the heated seat button that I showed you before, lights, and then access to the moonroof. All right, let's hop out and jump in the front seat. On the door here, we have more of that wood trim. We have metal all throughout. We have 2 memory seating positions. We have power mirrors and power folding mirrors. The locking, child lock, all that good stuff. We have a little bit of storage here, storage down here for a water bottle or snacks, and Bose speakers all throughout the car. We also have this nice placard here that says Santa Fe. Before we hop in, I want to take a look at this. We have a footrest or a leg rest here. We have tilting. We have back and forth top seat movement. We have side by side and up and down lumbar control. And then we have relaxation mode, which will tilt this and move that back. I wanted to show that from the outside because trying to show it while you're in the car doesn't really work. And then you can push the button forward, which will undo the setting. Perfect. So it's important to note that the calligraphy trim is a luxury trim. So the purpose of the calligraphy is to provide you certain conveniences that aren't given in the lower trim levels. The limited also follows that same concept. It's just the calligraphy gives you a few extra things, which we'll discuss shortly. So continuing on with the interior, specifically the cockpit, we have some basic buttons. We have parking brake and illumination. We have rear hatch and traction control. Not important. Well, important, but not to the review here. Over here, we have some LED lighting, which isn't really all that visible, during the day, though at night it very much is. It adds a uniqueness to the cabin. This steering wheel is probably my favorite part about the Santa Fe here. It is kind of Land Rover vibes going on, just like the rest of this car. We have some very square, very chunky steering wheel controls here. We have paddle shifters back here, and we have a little sensor over here for our highway driving assist controls, like the automatic lane keep and lane switch, our adaptive cruise, and things like that. We have a fully digital display for our gauge cluster and for our touchscreen. The gauge cluster, if you watch the SEL version of my Walkaround, you'll notice that it's very different in the calligraphy. We get a lot more features here. So the first thing we get is we get a menu of a bunch of different information, like our trip settings and things like that, our auto stop settings, tire pressure, as well as angle of the wheels and the power being sent to all the wheels. We also have a compass with navigation, and then our highway driving assist, where it shows cars in front of us and things like that. The purpose of this sensor is if you're not looking at the road while driving, it will tell you, hey, look at the road you're driving. And it'll track your awareness and how awake you are. Over here, we have a fingerprint sensor, which is not hooked up because this is a car that's going to be sold, so I don't want to put my fingerprint into somebody else's car. We have a column shifter here, and then, of course, our stalks for lights and wiper blades. We have a heads-up display. Let's see if I can get a good view of that. Right there. It's hard to capture on camera, but when you're sitting in the car, it's very visible. We have our big touchscreen here, which, like in every Hyundai, is very fast and very responsive. It's no problem swiping through them or clicking on something to access it. We have in-house navigation on the calligraphy trim, and then Sirius XM and our phone and all of these different lovely settings. We have controls of our seats in the settings. However, we also have it down here, which we'll get to. Weather, things like that. A bunch of different settings. We do in-depth guides on how to do all of these things. So if you're interested in exploring different settings in your particular vehicle, make sure to let us know down in the comments. So if we haven't covered it already, we can in the future. All right, so let's go back here and let's move down a bit to this kind of, I would call it a command center. We have metal buttons, actual buttons for our home, maps, search, media, seeking, and tracking. We have a favorites button that can be assigned to anything, and a setup button, which brings you to the settings. We have a volume and a tuner knob. We have physical HVAC controls for our temperature. Let's actually turn that down. We have capacitive screen for our heated seats, ventilated seats, and heated steering wheel. We have the fan controls, AC, circulation, front and rear defrosters. We have the positioning of the fans, and then heated and ventilated seats for our passenger. Let's move this other way. For our passenger. Coming down a bit more, let's actually turn this off. Coming down a bit more, we have auto hold. We have 4 drive modes. We have normal, sport, my drive, and snow. My drive is their customizable drive mode where you can mess with the steering and the transmission and things like that. We have 4-wheel drive lock, which just locks so all 4 wheels move. We have auto start, stop, off button. We have hill descent control. We have our camera button and our parking sensor. Down here, we have a USB-C, another one, our UVC switch, which we'll get to in a minute, and then our indicators for our wireless charging pads. In the 24 Santa Fe Calligraphy, we have 2 charging pads. However, in our previous video with the SEL, there was 1. We have a cup holder down here, which follows that square boxy theme. And then we have our center console here with that tray I mentioned before. And then that connector to the back, as well as a divider. We have a LED light right there to help during the night. If we can pop it back in, there we go. Underneath, we have even more storage areas with a power supply there. This has a rubber material so things don't slide around, and it is removable. All right, over here is our UVC sterilization cabinet. So this is only available on the calligraphy trim. And what it is that you can put your phone or your keys or honestly really anything in there, and it will use UVC light to disinfect or to sanitize the material. So kill, I believe it's up to 99.9% of bacteria, but I'll have a number up here if what I said was wrong. And then that's what that switch activates. We have a little bit of storage down here for a passenger to put their phone or anything small enough to fit in there. We have a glove box down here. Nothing big, nothing small. It's a decent size. Up here, we have a digital rear view mirror, which is only available on the calligraphy. And then, of course, you can switch it back to a regular mirror. Hi, guys. We have garage door openers here. We can adjust the brightness and we can adjust the height of that digital mirror. Up top here, we have, unfortunately, piano black, and we can control the front. Let's see if we can get it. Come on, there we go. Our front sunroof, and then our rear moonroof. Let's close this front one. All right. And that is pretty much it for the inside. Really quick, I do want to just summarize the driving and the handling of the 24 Santa Fe. This goes for all of them except the hybrids, because I have not driven a hybrid, so I can't comment on the hybrids. But for all the gas-powered ones, they all drive the same. The XRT is a little bit of a rougher ride because they have tires specifically meant for dirt and snow and things like that. And it also rides a bit higher. The SE, SEL, Limited, and Calligraphy gas models all drive the same, however. The 24 Santa Fe is focused on comfort. It's focused on a kind of sort of family ride. So what that means is that you're not going to get a lot of performance out of it. It's a 3-row SUV. The goal of the Santa Fe is that your day-to-day driving is going to be comfortable. It's going to be enjoyable. That's why the interior is the way it is. Everything is done in a way to make it convenient and really to prevent hassles. That's why we have physical controls and touch controls, so you're not limited to one or the other. That's why all of these buttons are within finger reach. That's why the horn's big. That's why the steering wheel's big. That's why these seats have relaxation mode. That's why they have so much adjustability to them. It's to make sure that you're comfortable every day. This does have a bit of kick to it. If you switch it in the sport mode, you can get up and go. There's going to be no problems merging on interstates or highways. There's going to be no problem kicking it up to speed when you need to pass somebody. Nothing like that. But it's not a performance car. It's not a performance SUV. The goal is to be comfortable. So if you're comfortable driving this thing, then it's done its job. And honestly, I think this is the most comfortable car I've ever driven in this price range. I think this might even be more comfortable than the Palisade for now. When the 2025 Palisade comes out, we might be surprised. But for especially for this price range, this is extremely comfortable, extremely fun, and it's a really nice vehicle. All right, so let's hop outside, give our final closing thoughts, and we'll end this video up. Sensor on the side that I didn't point out before. All right, so that was the 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe Calligraphy trim. This is honestly a really cool and honestly really unique vehicle. It takes inspiration from a lot of different areas. You can get a Land Rover vibe from it, but it keeps Hyundai's cool design aspect with the daytime running lights, the interior overall, the functionality of everything in this car. Again, this is a luxury branded model here. So the goal is to just be comfortable. It's to turn heads, and it's just to be a fun daily driver. The MSRP on this car is $55,535. We're retailing for about $50,085. So it's about $450 off. Of course, if you're interested in this vehicle, make sure to visit McGeeHyundai.com. That's McGeeHyundai.com. If you're interested in this vehicle, visit that website and look at new vehicles, and you can sort through or search this particular car. I haven't done this in my previous videos, but if you're interested in this one in particular, the stock number is H2424. So you just go to our website, McGeeHyundai.com, you search up H2424. And if you're interested in more content like this or other informative content, such as how to use certain features within each car, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We're always uploading new videos. We upload at least 3 times a week, sometimes more. So make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell notification if you'd like to be notified of new videos. We do more than just Hyundai. We also do Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. So if any of those brands interest you, hit subscribe. Anyway, thank you very much and have a wonderful, beautiful, amazing day.